every day and night.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Constitutionalist Podcast. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard. That's Leonard. It looks French. It's not. It's Leonard without an O. Thank you for tuning in. As Graham Norton used to say on his show, let's get on with the show! For those looking on the 5 behind-the-scenes video channels, sneak peek videos, you will see, first let me say, this is a cheat intro again, kind of like I do on Saturdays if I'm presenting a video exclusive from prior, the same cheat. You'll see the same or hear on the 40-ish audio-only platforms, this same mini intro, but I am wearing the Book of Kennedy Project Carpe Diem book shirt because welcome to Books/Authors Week, just 1 week, for April of 2026. Prior, I had Books/Authors Weeks this time to get caught up on some back interviews of authors. I'm doing a singular Books/Authors Week for April 2026, Monday through Friday. Also, I want to say at the end of each episode, I will tack on one of my newer, more recent Suno created songs. If you remember, my dad, Ted Leonard Jr., the Polka Kings, tinyurl.com, the Polka Kings, to see that tribute page to him. He had a record deal. I used to write and record music the old way, get out a piece of sheet music and write out the actual song on the sheet music, the chords, the notes, the lyrics, but all my equipment's been long sold off, but thanks to Suno AI music system, I'm back to writing lyrics and releasing music again. Thank you, Suno. So each day, Monday through Friday of Books/Authors Week 2026, April, I will tack on a Suno-aided, created new song from Joseph M. Leonard, J. Leonard Detroit on Suno. So thank you to them, and I've already delayed things, so without further ado, let's get to an author. Joining me today will be Richard Walsh. In his Podmatch bio, it says, sharpen the spear coaching. That, to me, caught my eye. And indeed, Christian speaking, iron helps forge iron. If I could, it's always, why does this always happen? I hit record and the brain and the mouth don't want to work. So I love that. Indeed, sharpen the spear in a figurative sense, not a literal sense. Well, he's not joined the program yet. I'm recording this a little early because you all know me. I can't pass the jokes. So I was going to ask him if he's related to John Walsh, America's Most Wanted. John, who lost his son at early age due to crime, so he helped produce and starred in America's Most Wanted, which helped bring people to justice. But I was going to joke with Richard Walsh, are you related to John Walsh? Well, I'm recording early before Richard even joins because I want to do a little rant about John Walsh. Now, I still feel horrible for him. I can't imagine losing the son the way he did and having to deal with that. as a Christian, wanted some good to come out of that bad. Sometimes bad happens to good people, and hence the America's Most Wanted, to help get justice and get for others, get criminals off the street, to protect other people's children. But I wanted to mention his Omega XL commercials. Full disclosure, fibromyalgia is one of the many health issues I have that flares up on and off from time to time. So I take Relief Factor. I'm on disability. Medicare doesn't cover it. So I take it as I can when the fibro flares up. I can't afford the out-of-pocket to take it twice a day, every day, 365 days a year. I wish I could, because yes, it does help. Omega XL, does it help joint pain as John Walsh advertised it does? I don't know. How much it costs, how expensive it is, I don't know. But the point I wanted to make about Omega XL, people, and John, really, you're bragging about how rich you are and a tough day of working with your show ponies. The average person that you're trying to sell Omega XL to can't relate to that. But maybe they're only advertising to rich people. Maybe only rich people can afford it. But anyway, none of that has anything to do with Richard's appearance, but you know me, my ADHD, OCD brain can't help but want to joke. Richard Walsh, no relation to John Walsh, and therefore the rabbit hole of the rant opens up. Okay, well, I'm going to stop all that. The recording is going to keep running until Richard actually joins, and I'll be cutting out that section. So next, we'll be welcoming Richard. Joining me, as promised, today is Richard Walsh. Now, I let him know I had already had the recording going because I did an opening. My audience knows my ADHD, OCD brain goes, I can't help the jokes, and I get down rants. So I did an opening rant about John Walsh. You're not related to John Walsh at all, right?
Not as far as I know.
Right. Yeah, I didn't think so, so I figured I'd record that before you even got here, but let you know that I was joking about that. So officially, welcome to the show, Richard Walsh.
Thank you, Joseph. Appreciate it. Looking forward to, getting into this.
Yes. Now, your Podmatch profile, and I make no bones, I make no secret that I use Podmatch as a
great platform.
It is a wonderful platform where guests can meet hosts and hosts can meet guests, blah, 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 blah. But on your profile, I saw and I responded, love it. Sharpen the Spear Coaching. So before we get to the usual first question, I can't help but want to rush into and ask, did the Christian iron sharpens iron concept lead to that?
Yeah, it's part of it, of course, because, I have a warrior mentality as well, which is also a biblical perspective, both in spiritual warfare and
the whole Bible
warfare, right?
in full context. Yes, there's
That's
warrior aspects, there's peace aspects, there's love, there's war. You got the Jesus tough love parts as well as the love, the kumbaya around the campfire. You got to take it all together.
That's right. That's right. And I'm also a U.S. Marine. I'm a champion boxer. I'm a black belt. I'm all those things, right? So it's kind of part of who I am. So that's part of it. And sharpen the spear, again, is the same principle, right? Iron sharpens iron, because, it's kind of like a dull knife. It's not good for anything except maybe cutting your skin.
Buttering your toast.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. So, so the whole point is we are always sharpening ourselves, whether that's in the Word of God or in our business. Like I help businesses, right? That's my big thing in manufacturing and things like that. So it's a powerful tool, and for me, it's a great analogy.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Every life is a story. Some just end too soon. Ryan's life unfolds through words on paper, dreams of youth, love discovered, and the challenges of growing up. He found purpose in love, joy in family, and meaning in every small moment. But even the strongest hearts can break, and sometimes life takes unexpected turns. Through laughter and loss, Ryan leaves behind something greater than memories, a lasting legacy. A short story, A Lasting Legacy, by Joseph M. Leonard. A moving reflection on life, love, and the stories we leave behind. Available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and hardcover editions. By Joseph M. Leonard.
Yes, now we should all be wanting to sharpen ourselves mentally and physically. But sadly, there are a lot of purposefully dull people who aren't interested in being better people. And it's in part what Jesus said, I discussed many times on my show, the poor will always be among you. That's not an economic statement. It's not a government statement. It's a human nature statement. It's part of the humanity. There will always be some who try to do more to find ways to do less, do little, or do nothing, try to coast by, especially if there's people always willing to give them things.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me back this thing up, right? Beep, beep, beep. Because my usual first question is, let's get back to that, I did an ah. Right, I've gotten much better with the ahs and the ums, but every once in a while, and I got a bad habit of saying, right. Oh, I got to watch that. But I do, as an ongoing running gag, still do on purpose, at any rate, as a segue. So, at any rate, the usual first question is, where were you born and raised? Where are you now? Significant places you may have been between and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a long journey.
Well, give us
Illinois. Yeah, so
give us the abridged. Yeah,
I was born in a town called Waukegan, Illinois, and then kind of moved a little bit north from there. Grew up in the general Chicagoland area for the most part. Spent some time in Arizona. Went in the Marine Corps. Spent more time in the desert, and that's why I don't live in the desert anymore. I've had enough of the desert, so I'm in Wisconsin now. I'm in Beloit, Wisconsin, the southern tip of Wisconsin. So
you don't run a fraudulent daycare, do you?
No, we don't. I don't know if they have a lot of those here. That's mostly Minnesota, but they've got that. But no, we just have cold. Lots of cold in the winter.
I'm in Michigan, so I feel you.
I know. So we got that, and that's okay. It's, as I like to say, it weeds out the weak. It's a good thing. So, from there, I grew up, good family, father, mother, got two brothers, end up, getting through high school barely, decided to go in the Marine Corps. I was going to try college. I was standing in line at the community college with my little check and my schedule behind like 30 other kids. And I'm like, I'm looking around going, you got to be kidding me. There's no way I'm doing this. And I ripped it up, threw it in the trash, and went and joined the Marine Corps. I'm like, I hated high school. Why would I subject myself to this again? It just wasn't the way I learned. And so I didn't do well at all. I can brag on my 1.7 grade point average. Okay. And as a friend,
that doesn't mean you're stupid.
No, it doesn't.
In the least. You learn other ways, you self-educate yourself in other ways, and you have common sense, which a lot of the pseudo-intellects have zero common sense.
It's true, yeah. A friend of mine the other day said, dude, you get a 2.0 if you just turn in your homework. And he looked at me and goes, you didn't turn in your homework, did you? And I go, no, never. he's like, oh, wow. So I'm like,
For the
it's okay.
benefit of the transcript, we're laughing here.
That's right. But here's the thing. So, and you're right, because, I went in the Marine Corps, great education, okay, of life and perseverance and everything else. So that was really good. Got out, started my own business. I was working, swinging a pickaxe, for $5 an hour. That's where it all began. Like, I'm doing that as a job when I came out of the Marine Corps. So wasn't looking like a real bright future. Okay. But then a guy asked me to do a side gig, Joseph, and he's like, hey, I need your help on the weekend. Can you come by on Saturday and shovel some rock for me? I'm like, yeah, I swing a pick all day. That's no problem. So showed up. He had 35 tons of gravel in the front yard, in the street. Okay. And he wanted me to wheelbarrow that to the backyard, spread it. This is in Tucson, Arizona, so I can do that all day. So it took about 10 hours, 100-degree weather. Got that done. But the best part, Joseph, he came out and he put $1,000 in my hand. Okay. Now I'm looking at this going, man, I did this yesterday for $40. Okay. I'm looking at $5 an hour. I'm like, I know my future. Like, I will shovel rock every day, all day for $1,000 a day. Right now, this is the late 80s, right? This is like 87 or whatever it was, And
so
I'm
that
like,
$1,000 would be more like $2,500 today. Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? But I'm like, okay, so I launched into making a landscape business, doing that. Then ended up turning into custom water features. So what ponds, waterfalls, streams, became one of the best in the world at doing that.
Can you fix my bird bath?
Bird baths, they're beyond my pay grade. They're beyond my pay grade. I can't, every man's got his limits. But
again,
yeah,
for the transcript, we're laughing. That's a
right,
joke.
Right. Yeah. So I started doing steel sculpture as well. Taught myself how to weld and do steel sculpture. Ended up doing world-class exhibits, right? Doing these unbelievable things, and Navy Pier and all over the world, right? So that was really cool. That was going really well. And then 08, 09 hit. 09 kind of lost everything, right? The economy crashed. I lost my business, lost my home. I had 6 kids, 4 years and younger at the time. My wife kind of had to really start over from nothing. So we did, because we don't have other options. When you're at the bottom, you only got one option. That's to go back up.
You can roll over, lay down in a fetal position and cry, or you can get yourself up and dust yourself off and find a new path.
That's it.
Which you did, thankfully.
Yeah. Here's the big thing. Here's the big epiphany, though, Joseph, at that time. So really working hard. My identity was in what I did. Okay. Like a lot of guys, they are what they do, right? Or they should not be that way.
I was a former IT guy, and deep inside, that's still who I am. And it's tough not being able to do that now on disability. It drives me crazy. I want to be working. I don't want to be. I love my podcast, but I'd rather be doing that.
Well, I'm the number one pond builder, sculptor guy, all this stuff, and then everything's kind of collapsing around me. And there's a couple of things. First thing is, when what you do is your identity, you make a lot of bad decisions. Because you want to keep that alive, because it's your identity. And that's what happened to me. Started making a lot of bad decisions to keep the business alive, even though in one day, November 5th, 2008, I lost $500,000 on that day. People just canceling contracts because the election just happened and everyone was terrified on what was going to happen. And nobody was spending money on anything. It was wild. If you're around there, right? You had the whole housing thing and all that stuff. So it was crazy. And I hung up the phone at the end of the day, Joseph. I'm like, I looked at my office manager. I'm like, I think it's over. Like, how are we going to recover from this? And it just kept going off the cliff from there. So I woke up one morning and I'm thinking about my 6 little kids. Okay. Again, 4 and under. And I'm like, they really don't care what I do for a business. They don't care how many trucks I have. They don't care, what kind of house we live in.
They care whether you can feed and clothe and house them. Yeah.
Well, or no, they cared if I was around. I came in the door, they'd all, run, crawl to me, do that whole thing, saying, leaving. One day, my 4-year-old was chasing my truck out the driveway crying. And I just kept going, because I got to work, do that whole thing. So the epiphany was, and God really opened this kind of window to the future. It's like, Richard, you stay on this path, all your kids they're going to have failed relationships, broken marriages. Okay. Maybe they'll be okay at business. Probably not, because I was kind of failing. Right. But they only do what they see. You can tell your kids more is caught than taught, right? That's the whole deal. So I'm like, man, I got up out of bed, walked in the office and said, we're done today. Shut it down, went to my construction yard, told my guys, had my last cup of coffee with them. And I'm like, guys, I can't do this anymore. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to be known for what I am. So I literally then went back home, had a bonfire in the back, and burned all my uniforms. I burned everything. Said, I'll never be owned by my business again. I'm not going to serve it. And I did that. And to this day, so it's been like 17 years. I haven't built a water feature or done a sculpture in 17 years. Asked to go back. Nope, I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to get pulled back into that. I just wanted to go on and make a different, I had to be, how can I be around for my kids, right? How can they be there? Because we wanted to homeschool them. I want to homeschool them all the way through. I got 6 kids, right? So I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? So from a business standpoint, Joseph, I had one thing as I tried to figure out what I'm going to do. I love training. I'm a fitness guy and boxer and all this stuff, right? So I said, well, I'll open a gym. First I was a trainer at a gym, like an Anytime Fitness, became trainer of the year in like no time, right? So I'm like, well, as an entrepreneur, that means I got to open a gym. So I opened a gym, boot camp style training, doing all that. But my goal was, okay, if my wife calls me and needs me, I want to be able to be there in 15 minutes. That was the premise that I built the whole business on. How do I build a business that lets me do that? And that's what I did. And it kind of became my thing. So I did the gym, I built a construction business, I did that kind of stuff. And it was all that. Got to be around my kids. Got to help them. Now, my wife didn't call me much. She really didn't need me. Just saying, she's pretty tough. But the whole principle was like, and I could pop in, I could do things, always be with the kids. And we were able to fulfill that all the way till now. My youngest just turned 18, just a couple of days ago. And they're all out. They're all doing their thing. And it's just amazing, right? We did it. Homeschooled them all the way through. They're all great. One's in the Marine Corps, everyone's else doing their stuff. And it was a great journey. So that kind of brings us up to where we're at today. Today, they're coaching businesses and things like that.
Yeah. I'm glad you used, excuse me, I hit record and the brain and the mouth don't work, and all of a sudden a frog shows up in the throat always. How does that happen almost every time? But enough ranting about that. I'm glad you used the word window. I use that all the time. The saying, one door closes, God will open another door. No, not necessarily. A lot of times he's over there screaming at you, go through the window, dummy, right? There's the opportunity. It may not be dressed up quite the way you expect it to, want it to, prefer it to, but pay attention to the signs, and indeed a window may open if the door closes for you to crawl through, as you gave that analogy also. So I love that you use that. So that brings us indeed to sharpen the spear coaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I wrote a book. So I wrote a book called Escape the Owner Prison, because I experienced that, right, for 20 years. Like, if I didn't open the door, the business didn't happen. I was the artist. I'm the guy building things. I mean, I have crews and I got all that, but it really was, the business was hinged on me. It was my identity, right? It's who I am. So I started, after I did the gym and my construction business, other entrepreneurs started asking me, well, how'd you do that? How'd you go from all that to nothing back to, and I'd say, well, what are you doing? And I started talking about what they're doing, and the patterns were all the same. Every business I talked to, they're all doing the same wrong things, right? So I'm just, and now I joke and I say, you guys all do the right, wrong things. I can help you, so it's okay.
And that's a big problem with human nature, is we don't learn from others' mistakes to help prevent us from making them.
Exactly. Well, it's a thing in entrepreneurship where we're a limited number, right? We're a small demographic, people who are willing to take that risk and push for something they believe in, are passionate about, and they want to make it happen. So oftentimes we're not big on asking for help. I was the king of not asking for help. Okay. As I always tell people, I had billionaire clients trying to help me. I'm like, well, what do you know? You don't build water features. You just own manufacturing plants and professional sports teams and everything else. But what do you know? Right. That's the level of stupid I operated at. Okay. And it's just because I was just so arrogant and prideful that I'm doing this on my own. I'm going to take all the credit. Took me twice as long, as twice as hard, but I did it. But again, that identity aspect and the humility that God brought just taken everything away, which I tell people, I go, that's the only thing that could have happened. There was no saving the business. Like if I didn't lose everything, I could have never been where I am today. This is what God does.
Sometimes it takes that. Exactly.
Well, it's it's what they say. God can't put anything into a closed fist, right? If that hand doesn't stay open, if you don't let stuff come and go, okay, God can't help you. He wants to help you. He might take that out and put a bigger thing in there, right? You're faithful in the little, well, he's ready to give you the much, right? But if you're holding on to the little like it's a death grip, okay, you have no room for the much, right? So you're impeding God's will for you, right? His plan for you. So it's really important.
That's well put. I like that. Now, what is the name of the book again, so I can write it down? I didn't
Escape the Owner Prison.
Escape the Owner Prism.
Prison, like the
prison.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because that's what a business can be for most people. They don't define it that way, but it's a prison. You're told what to do, when to do, even though you think you're your own boss. You don't have control of your time. You're at everyone else's disposal all the time. I mean, it's far worse than being an employee if you let it, if you don't understand what you have to do to correct that. So, yeah, my big thing was really how do I help people not make that mistake? Take 20 years to figure it out. Okay, because what people do, Joseph, is they work really hard the first 2 years, and you have to. There's no secret sauce to not work really hard your first 2 years, wear a lot of hats, get this thing off the launch pad.
Right.
Totally
Most businesses fail within the first three because they may have missed some of the work they needed to put in.
Right. So what I found was that's all good. They're working hard for 2 years, but then next thing you know, 10 years has gone by and they've repeated the first 5 times. That's the hamster wheel, right? That's the prison. They're still doing everything. They haven't delegated. They haven't built systems, haven't done processes. They don't have a true vision of where they're going, what they want, how long they want to do this, how much they want for it when they get done. They don't have any of that. They just have, I'm making a little bit more money now. And look, I have trucks and I have this and I have that and this. And they have things. They don't have time, but they got things. Okay. So they missed their kid's first soccer game, never going to get that back. Okay. That kind of stuff is all gone, right? All because you're working for that freedom that you never get. Okay. So that's the trap, right? That's the prison. So again, I got that book out. It became a bestseller, which was awesome. I was helping a lot of people. I was coaching people, starting to really kind of, create programs for them and really turn their businesses around. And I started to realize, I go, you know what I'm really doing? I'm saving families. I'm saving families because a business, I can give it a label. I can call it's like a mistress. It wants to be with you all the time. It wants you thinking about it in the middle of the night. It wants you showing up early and leaving late.
It wants you to leave your family for it.
Exactly. It's always going to be that distraction, and time waits for no one, right? Like I said, oh great, your kids are 1. They don't even know I'm anybody. Well, all of a sudden they're 5, and then they're 10, then they're 15, and they're gone. And they've never really seen their dad. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they do. They don't have memories, and you've done all this for them.
You didn't have the important dad figure, right, the priorities to be the good example to help shape them as humans.
Right. Yeah, because again, more is caught than taught.
Yeah,
so,
I love that you use that phrase. That's great.
What you're going to see as they grow, and if they get married, great, and they have kids, you know what you're going to see? You're going to see you in them. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to, unless they intentionally say, I'm not going to be like my dad. I'm going to be around for my family. Yeah. But like that all
the
sounds
Harry
good.
Chapin song,
right?
Cats in the Cradle comes to mind. A great song, and we all need to learn. Now, my ex-wife and I never had any kids, so I never had any of that issue or situation. And of course, I look back, and at times I'm glad we didn't, because now I don't have the money to help raise them on disability. But, my life is lacking for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Children are a blessing. I mean, it's Psalm 127, right? I mean, blessed is the man's hand who's, they're like arrows in the hand of a mighty warrior. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. You know, now that's cool. My kids are arrows, but you know what you got to do with your kids, right? You know what you do with arrows? They don't do much in the quiver. You got to send them down range. Okay. And a lot of people have forgotten that today. Why is your 30-year-old living in your basement? Okay. We launch arrows.
You said it, not me. Yeah.
I'm just speaking real.
It goes back to, like I said earlier, the poor will always, human condition, human nature, especially if we allow them to be lazy, and Atlas shrugged, right? More and more people wanting to climb in the cart and less people able to pull it.
Yeah, it's you know, I think personally in our country, in the U.S. alone, probably worldwide, but really here, the biggest plague is fatherlessness. Okay, there's no role models. There's no men in the home.
Yeah,
the whole
cultural
nuclear family
Marxist destruction of the family. Yes,
exactly. So there's no nuclear family. So there's no role model. So you have young, angry boys growing up who become angry men. Okay, and they're purposeless, right? They just drift. They have nothing. You know, they're playing video games all the time. They're doing whatever they want. They don't want kids, or even on the lighter side, they have. And I don't care what people think. They got their little fur babies and their cats and dogs and strollers, and they're pushing them around like they're human beings. And they have stickers on the car that say, "I'm a dog mom," and all this. Like, a dog mom. Put the two together. So you're a dog. Are you a dog? Is that what you? Or is I'm confused here? Like, and then they get all ticked off at you, and that's okay. But I'm like, your priorities are so screwed up. Okay, you're unwilling, and I've seen some strong Christian believers that I wouldn't bring kids into this world. And I just look at them, I go, "What are you talking about?" That's like one of the biggest things that we can do. Again, back to the arrows. If you're not going to raise up children in the way they should go from a biblical worldview and then send them out, how are you going to change anything? Your cats in the strollers, they're not going to change the world. Okay. Your little fur babies aren't doing jack for the world. You are denying the Great Commission.
They may help with stress at home at times. And full disclosure, I have cats, but I wanted kids. It just didn't happen. It's not like, well, you're saying those who are avoiding children like the plague for some reason. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Our birth rate replacement rate is under 2.1 in this country now. We're getting as bad as Europe.
Well, I like to say, you know, there are 8 billion people on the planet. Now, I don't buy into the Georgia Stones overpopulation, blah, 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 blah. We have progressed as a society, and as a species, we're able to grow more food, and we have the food to feed people, but people are still starving. So there aren't, like New York City or Tokyo on a micro basis might be overcrowded, but as a planet, it's not overpopulated. No. But at the same time, as a Christian, I don't adhere to the only purpose in life is to self-perpetuate the species. I don't buy that. If we want kids, if we're able to take care of kids, which at one time I was, but we just never had the kids, then that's great. That's wonderful to be part of a fulfilled life. But if you're not ready, if you yourself never really grew up, if you cannot afford the kids, don't bring a kid in the world, because that's not the only meaning to life, in my mind anyway.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Joseph M. Leonard, host of Christitutionals, taking a brief moment to thank myarchic.com. Together, we share the Christian and family value of honoring family. MyArchic.com helps you do that. Preserving family memories online also, therefore, can be shared online. Think of MyArchic like a Noah's Ark for images, audio, video, preserving, honoring your family. Thank you again to the folks over at myarchic.com.
Yeah, it's if you look in the Bible, how many women were suffering from being barren, right? It was almost considered a curse, right? They were looked down on, everything else back then. What I'm saying today is, and again, to your point, I'm not ready, I'm not mature, I'm not this. You're never ready. You're never ready.
Well, I
children,
guess that's true. Yeah.
You're never ready. And until you are, okay, if you're going to wait till you're ready, you're never going to have children, because you want your time and it's all about you. It's total vanity. Okay.
Oh,
that's
and
all
that's
it is,
self-reflection, full disclosure. I didn't get married till I was 36. My wife was 23 when we got married. So at that time, indeed, it was then all about her and the nice toys and the nice vacations. And, we'll get to kids eventually, but then I got sick and I couldn't work anymore. And then all that went out the window when she decided to move on. So,
yeah. So I'll give you my story. Okay. So I was 34 when I got married. My wife was 25. 5 years goes by.
Similar situation.
Right? So 5 years goes by. We're having trouble conceiving. So say, hey, let's go in the foster care program. Maybe we can help some kids. Maybe we can get an adoption. We can do that. So we do that. We'll wait 6 months. We're going through the classes, doing all that. Got a little baby boy, shows up 1 day old. Okay. Oh, great. Okay. Now we'll do in vitro. We did that. We had a baby girl 9 months later. And the day we brought her home, the phone rang, and it was the mother. It was the agency said the mother of our first baby boy had a baby boy. I said, we'll take him. So we got him. Then we did in vitro, and then we had twin boys, right? 9 months later. All right. So and then the phone rings again. Hey, the mother of the other two had a baby girl. We said, we'll take her. Now we have 6 kids in 3.5 years. Okay. Do you think I was ready for that, Joseph? Okay.
I don't think anybody could be ready for that.
To my
but
point, right?
Yes.
Is that inexpensive or expensive to do with 6 children?
That's certainly obviously expensive. Yes.
Right. But now I just lost everything, surely. And so at that time, my kids were 4 years and younger. I lost everything. Was I ready for that? I wasn't ready for that. Okay. Did I have how would I make it? How am I going to do it? Should I give the kids up for adoption? Should I just abandon them and go live on my own because I'm a failed parent?
Certainly can't do that. Right.
Right. Yeah. So just walking through that process, turned around again, like I said a few minutes ago, they've all graduated, high school, homeschooled them. They're in the Marine Corps. They're out working. They got great jobs. They're all doing their things, right? All because, and I was never ready. So that's my point. If you're never going to be ready, okay, it doesn't matter what the situation is. If you're 16 and you got pregnant and you have a child, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Okay, work it, because there's no greater incentive than to feed a helpless child who's yours and to bring them up and work for them and do it. Okay, so that's just that's my encouragement, Joseph. Like, people are like, they're so like, everything's got to be perfect. What world do you live in? Okay.
I say over and over, there's no such thing as perfect, especially on this fallen world. Right. And yet, indeed, I kind of fell in that trap, although it would have been different had I not got sick. I do think we would have had children, but indeed, I was in that trap of waiting, wanting my wife, who grew up somewhat poor, to have things and be able to do things before we had a kid. And then my health went bad and threw it all out the window.
Yeah. So think of this, like, again, wasn't until I was 34, right? Like, I met my wife, and like 3 months later I proposed, and we're married 6 months later, and
our story is similar.
So, but the thing about that was, I'm building the business. I was focused on me, make the business. So now I met my wife, and she comes in and everything's great, making a ton of money. So here's just a business view. Okay. When I got married, and someone comes into your business life, meaning, it's a part of my family, and everything's great. Okay. That's easy. That's nice. Right. But then jump ahead a few years. What happens in 2009? Right. So 9 years later, we have nothing. Now my wife has to go from coming in when everything was good. She's never built a business, never seen a business built, right? Doesn't understand what that takes, So buckle up, buddy. Okay. Because it was ugly. Okay. I mean, what we had to do and scrape by and do all this stuff and figure out our way and everything else was that is separating the dross from the gold. Okay. 26 years we've been married, still together, all our kids, everything else, because she got through that, or we got through it. But really, because, you know, it was hard. Okay. I don't have the exact words for it, but it was hard, but we can look back now and go, man, that was amazing.
But you both had the commitment to work together, because that's the part I go over and over. Relationships, my whole life and living series of books. Relationships are work, just like jobs are work. You have to be willing to put in the time, the effort, the energy. You have to be willing to do the work. And so many marriages fall apart because one or the other or both don't want to do the work.
Yeah, I told a young man who got married, I used to train him in cross country and stuff. He's on the homeschool team and stuff. And he's been married like 2 years now. You know, he's like 21, whoever he is, 22. And when he first got married, I was where he's working. I walked in and I said, "Oh man, congratulations." "Oh, thanks." I go, "Can I give you some marriage advice?" And I go, "Probably everyone is, right?" He goes, "Yeah." "Okay." I go, "Well, marriage is work." And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, but I didn't finish. I went, "Forever. It's work forever."
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, my man. So like, understand, like, you're never done working on your marriage.
Yes.
Okay. So he just kind of looked at me and goes, "You haven't heard that, have you?" He goes, "Nope."
Well, I agree. And you know what? I blame the concept of the soulmate being created. Again, there's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect match. There's no such thing.
Well, there's one.
If you agree with another human 100% of the time, you're not a thinker. You're a sheeple. You're malleable. You just go with the flow. You're not you. You're allowing yourself to be a copy of somebody else. There's going to be disagreements. If there isn't, something ain't right.
Right. It's you do have a soulmate, and that's Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's
thank you. Amen.
Okay?
Yes.
And you have to, if you don't have that yet, that's something you need to work on. Okay. Put your soulmate focus on that. Okay. Because and that goes for your spouse. They need to be doing the same thing. You both Jesus can be both your soulmates, you know, and if you can do that,
right,
you're going to see how much better
menage a trois in that situation is good. Yeah.
Right. But you can, you'll see you're going to have a far healthier relationship, you know, because if you're living for your spouse, and you have to understand what I mean by this, if everything is for them, okay, and only them, and you want them to be that soulmate, every human being is going to disappoint you, including her or him. They're going to disappoint you, and not just once. They're going to disappoint you a lot, okay? And this is where if you don't have that relationship with Christ, you don't even understand grace. You know what happens in a relationship when you don't have any grace? Yeah, it's pretty short. It's a pretty short relationship. Yeah. Okay, so you have to learn that from our Creator, be able to bring that into that marriage, and and you're still going to work. Okay, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? I mean, I'm talking this, but you have to understand that position, you know. And again, whether you're in business, whether you have jobs, it doesn't matter. Like, you got to be on the same team, you know, working for the same thing. That's the big thing.
As the joke goes, there's no I in team, but I add to that joke. Or I add to that and make it a joke, but there is a hole in the A, if you get my meaning. If it's about the I rather than the at work, it has to be about a collective. I'm very anti-communist. I'm against forced communalism.
Sure.
But when you join a job, you join a team that has to pull together. You have to want to voluntarily become part of that team, not forced to be part of that. Biblical community as opposed to worldly communism. Anyway.
it's Team Jesus. It's the body. It's the body of Christ. Your church, that church, them, all Christian, all true believers. We're a team. We're all working for the same end, right? To witness, to do the Great Commission, and then, and finish
Try
strong,
to make things
right?
better on
That's
this
right. But
fallen
we
world.
got to finish strong.
Yep.
We got to finish well. A lot of guys, a lot of men especially, I talk a lot about this with guys and stuff too, and my men's ministry and everything. It's just, you're not finishing well. Right? You started out kind of good, then you went kind of wonky, but now
You're
you got
great gangbusters at the start, but
there are none so righteous as the newly converted, right? That's the saying.
Yes.
But you got to finish well. If you're all ending up in the, in despair, and you're broke, and you're divorced, and your kids don't talk to you, and all that stuff, but you thought you were this amazing person who worked out a lot, and you were fit, and you made a lot of money, but your whole family life is absolute shambles. You're not finishing
whole.
Yeah. So we have to focus on that, and that's what the work is, right? So another really catchy little saying: the only place success comes before work is the dictionary. Right. So you got to remember that, right? We got to understand that everything is work. Okay. If you want to achieve anything, it's work. Okay. I mean, it's like the one thing I drive home, and I don't care if it's work on a keyboard or if it's work on a shovel. It's all work. You got to put in time. You got to work. You got to put the effort. If your gifting is, intellectual and you're able to communicate and do all great, do that. If you're just like me, I'm a guy who can swing a pick. Okay, I can shovel, I can do this, I can work a welder, I can create great things and move giant boulders. Like, cool, that's my thing. I did it for 20 years, right? So wherever my gifting was, I capitalized on that, created it, helped me, build a living in the future and recognition, all that stuff. But then having to pivot and restart and do different things, same thing. So now I have all these different areas I can pour into others, and it's work. Talking to people, helping people, doing this kind of stuff, creating new things for my business. All this stuff is work. Again, family. Now my kids are moving out, they're here and there, and I'll get to help them. Like, what does that look like? Well, get out and do it. I'm always here. You don't have to do a thing I say, but the advice, as always, is free. So take it or leave it.
One thing, what you're saying here reminds me of the Robert Palmer cover tune remake of "It Takes Every Kind of People." Now, I'm not talking DEI woke idiocy. I'm talking about, we need plumbers, we need electricians, we need welders. We all can't be multimillionaire paid social media influencers. That the world won't work that way. It can't exist. Well, time has flown by and we've covered a lot, so I'm glad we did. The usual last question. You have a website where people can find you, yes?
Yes. They can go to grit2lead.com. Grit2lead.com. Real simple.
And it's T-O, not the number 2.
Nope.
So that's, and of course that I will add that in post in the bottom scroll, so those viewing behind the scenes video will see it. And again, it's grit2lead.com for the 25 plus audio platforms and the benefit of the transcript. Thank you, Richard Walsh, for your time today. It was a great discussion.
Thank you, Joseph. I had a blast. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, like all my guests, we could talk for 3 hours, and then the episode would be way too long for anyone to pay attention to. So
make it into 3 parts. Make it into 3 parts.
Yeah. So we have to have a reasonable conclusion. I usually shoot for 30 minutes. Sometimes they're a little under. Sometimes my longest show is like an hour and 15. I don't know how some of these people do 3 hours every day, like Monday through Friday, but that's them. That's their show. They also don't have the health constraints I do, so need to I try to do it so, hey, you can listen over lunch type, right?
Great.
That's just my niche I try to fill.
Anyway, we hit the good points that needed to be hit, so we're good.
I think so. All right. Thanks again, Richard Walsh. Not related, as far as we know, to John Walsh, to go back to the top joke. Take care. God bless, brother.
Iron sharpens iron, both figurative and literal, forging a better world. A Christian way leads us to a better day. Got a Bible on the table, steel sparks on the floor, hammer ringing in the distance while your words cut to my core. You're sanding down my pride, filing on my fear. In the fire of your kindness, what was dull is turning clear. Iron sharpens iron, Lord, so sharpen me. Rub my rough edges till your reflections all I see. If we carry one another, you will light the narrow way. Yeah, iron sharpens iron, and you're forging a better day. Every honest conversation, every wound we choose to show is a grindstone for our spirits, making mercy start to glow. When I call my brother higher, he pulls me higher too. Under pressure, under promise, we're becoming more like you. Yeah, iron sharpens iron, Lord, so sharpen me. Rub my rough edges to your reflections, all I see. If we carry one another, you will light the narrow way. Iron sharpens iron, and you're forging a better day. Strike by strike, word by word, you're remaking hearts of stone. Grace by grace, hurt by healed hurt. We don't have to stand alone. Oh, iron sharpens iron, Lord, so sharpen me. Rub my rough edges to your reflections, all I see. If we carry one another, you will light the narrow way. Iron sharpens iron, and you're forging a better day. You're forging a better day.
Only thing necessary for evil prevail. What they say, good peoples do nothing, doing nothing. The state with most today. The world keeps turning, a dark, strange place. Good folks are yearning for a saving grace. The ship has sailed, they say, on a troubled tide. But what do you do today with nowhere to hide? Questions I've been asking in all my writings. What's your move? Just what about is it you're willing to try to do? Evil prevails when good just sleeps. Light sometimes fails while the darkness creeps. What are you doing now? Tell me, how will you take a bow for all to see? The news, it screams a broken sound, lost in bad dreams on hallowed ground. They say it's all lost cause, a losing fight. But what about your applause for what is right? Only thing it takes for shadow to prevail is a crowd of quiet hearts scroll inside, then turn away. Say this world is torn apart. Shit's gone out past the rusted pier. We just watch it fade. On this fallen ground we're standing, still afraid to wait. So what are you doing? What are you doing now to help the light, help the light, help the light break through the doubt? Are you just waiting for someone else to move? Or will you stand, will you stand, will you stand and be the proof? Tell me, what are you doing? What are you doing? Good folks in a quiet room, hands clean, eyes closed. Say someday I'll make a change, someday never shows. Every hurt you walk right past cuts a deeper line. Every that's not up to me helps the dark align. So what are you doing? What are you doing now to help the light, help the light, help the light break through the doubt? Are you just waiting for someone else to move? Or will you stand, will you stand, will you stand and be the proof? Tell me, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? It's a hard, hard question. Looking back at you, yeah, in the mirror, in the silence, you already know what's true. If you breathe and you're required to answer with your life, every minute that you're given takes a side.
Sunday thoughts, coffee steaming, quiet streets, headlines heavy, people breaking where no one sees. So I lift their names up, every burden I can't fix, let it rise like incense, every hurt into your hands. I'm sending thoughts and prayers to heaven over every broken heart, every family, every soldier, every shadow and they scar. When this world crowns its pretenders, I remember what they preached. Our fathers wrote it down forever. No kings, but King Jesus over me. Jesus is King. Jesus is King. Jesus is King.
Old church steeple, cross still reaching past the sky. Ancient promise, still the answer to our cries. From the fields at Valley Forge to the pew I'm kneeling in, same confession on our lips, same hope that never ends. I'm sending thoughts and prayers to heaven over every broken heart, every neighbor, every stranger, every home that's torn apart. When this world crowns its pretenders, I remember what they preached. Our fathers wrote it down forever. No king, King Jesus over me. Jesus is King. Jesus is King.
like, and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.
Thank you for having tuned into another Constitutionalist Podcast show. I really appreciate that you stopped by. Again, please like, share, subscribe. We need you to help spread the Constitutionalist movement. Thank you again. Take care. God bless. Love you all.
Every day and night, believes in freedom and making his voice heard, sharing his message over all the earth. God loves Joseph for all.